Hi, this is Kurt Lieber, President and Founder of Ocean Defenders Alliance. This is a special report I put together on a visit we made on June 10th, 11th, and 12th to the Infidel. This is the wreck off of Catalina. We've only been able to visit this site 4 times over the last couple of years due to high cost constraints. First thing Saturday morning, we left Avalon and headed to the site. Jason Mannix sped ahead of us in his boat and quickly dropped down onto the Infidel and attached the line right to the wreck. We used that line to directly attach the Clearwater to, and this allowed the divers a direct line to follow to the site. After more than a month, we're finally ready to go. Mike Wind, Mike LaPrade, and Andrew Ainsley made up the dive team. These guys dive on rebreathers, which allows them to stay down for extended periods of time, a lot longer than your typical scuba diver. The Infidel went down in 2006 in 150 feet of water with approximately 7,000 to 9,000 pounds worth of net on it. As you can see, the net completely engulfs most of the wreck. The first dive was just an exploratory dive. The guys were going down just to assess the situation, figure out the condition of the net, and come back up and strategize about the best way to remove it. Unfortunately, when they got down there, they found a new net on the site. This too was a squid net, and they located a total of 6 dead sea lions in this. Now, we have no way of knowing how many animals this net has killed over time. These carcasses typically will decompose within 2 to 5 days, and as this decomposition happens, countless other scavengers come in and feed on the carcasses. You have shrimp, lobsters, benthic life, meaning the bottom dwellers, which would be rockfishes, and even sharks come in and feed on this. After a half hour of bottom time, the divers ascend to discuss a new strategy. After a 1-hour surface interval, Mike, Andrew, and Mike descended. Their plan this time was to cut away the sea lion carcasses. This would lighten the weight of the net considerably and make it easier to haul onto the boat. This was no fun task and is rather gruesome. They were glad to get that done in short order. Their next task was to cut away any sections of the net that had become entangled on the wreck. So they moved up to the bow, where they spent the next several minutes painstakingly clearing the net from any obstructions. The goal here was to get as much of the net off the wreck and into the sand as possible, with the intention of hauling it straight up to the Clearwater without it getting snagged on anything. As you can see, it's really difficult to move anything underwater, especially when you have nothing to leverage your body against. While trying to get the net off the bow, Mike LaPrade sees something struggling in the net. He quickly gets his knife out, and this lucky cabezon lives to see another day. The guys get back to the task at hand. As the net gets rolled into a bundle, all that silt that has been collecting on it for eons gets blown into the water column, making visibility next to nothing and very hazardous to work in. With this massive net finally inching closer and closer to the rail, the team looks forward to getting back to the surface, after what would turn out to be a 3-hour dive. To make a long story short, the net finally found the sand, and the guys attached a lift line to it and sent a lift bag with the other end attached to the surface. After the team surfaced, we reeled in the lift line with our rear windlass, and after a good half hour of creaking and groaning by the davit, we had the one end of the net hauled up to the tackle block. Then we heard a sound we didn't want to hear. The line snapped, sending the net right back down to the bottom. Early the next day, we headed back out, where Jason Mannix dropped down to assess the situation. Within 7 minutes, we started seeing lift bags. He was using them to lift the net to the surface. Without hesitation, John Krieger took off in the Zodiac and gave Jason more bags, and soon we had the whole mess of net neatly attached to the bags. Like kids at a birthday party, those colorful bags made us giddy, and high fives were shared by all. Rather than struggle to haul the net onto our boat, we decided to tow the clump to a pier near Avalon where we could haul it out of the water with a hoist. Moving at 3 knots, it took us about an hour and a half to get there, but it was well worth the effort and saved us a lot of struggle in the water. As we started to see the net lifted out, we all had been wondering what this beast would look like. We struggled like crazy for 2 days, and it was heavy enough to break a 5-inch diameter line. There it is. Turns out it was massive. Biggest catch of the day we have ever had. Seagull Sanitation weighed it, and they were kind enough to waive the disposal fee, and it ended up weighing almost 1,000 pounds. I want to thank our entire team, as well as our donors. We couldn't do this without your contributions, and with your continued support, we'll be back as soon as possible to keep chipping away at this massive killer net on the Infidel.